Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're gonna do a production tip. Now, I'm always a little reluctant to do production tips because it could be that I'm giving a tip that everyone already knows, but hey, sometimes you have to take a chance. I want to talk about a little technique that I've heard that I call the Pink Floyd Whoosh. That is the most unscientific and arbitrary name anyone could ever come up with, but the reason I call it that is it's kind of this whooshing sound that I hear in a lot of Pink Floyd songs. I'd say Have a Cigar is probably the song that's the most prominent in this use. There's definitely a bunch of other songs. There's several off of the Final Cut and On the Wall too, where you hear them playing around with the EQ as the fade out is happening, or the EQ will do something, kind of near the end of the song to change it up and make it sound like, the sound is pulling away or changing an aspect, and then the song transitions out. And I think that that's a really beautiful and creative way to kind of spice up these transitions. There's a Radiohead song called Everything in Its Right Place. You'll hear in some Led Zeppelin, like Kashmir. But anyway, I thought it might be helpful if I just show you how to do it, because it's really, really easy. And I do think that these little these things that are very small attention to detail things really make a song or an album or anything you're creating just have more life, even if it's not something that people necessarily notice consciously immediately. I think all these things do impact people as they listen to your music. So let's dive in. I'm going to show you not only how to do it with your DAW, but I'm going to show you how to do it if you're playing live and you want to do it with some guitar pedals. So anyway, let's dive in. To do this trick, you need to use some sort of plugin, either an EQ or a filter. So the plugin I prefer to use is Filter Freak, which is a part of the Soundtoys suite of plugins. Here is the Logic project I've set up. I'm basically using a song that I created so that I won't run into copyright issues. This song is Eyes Up, which is the song I just put out, a week or so ago. Let's pretend that I've decided that my just incredibly good guitar solo at the end, I don't want to hear and I don't like it. I want the song to fade out before that. What I've done is I've made some markers at the top marker track of Logic so that you can see where I'm going to do the fade out in this track. I've already built in a fade out envelope here. So if you want to see this, what I've done is at the moment of the fade beginning all the way to the fade ending, it's kind of filling in this marker area. So I kind of pre-figured out how much time I want the fade to take. So you can hear it here. Now you didn't hear a fade. That's because I don't have the track automation enabled. That was a test. And I failed the test. The track automation is now enabled. I like how that sounds, and that sounds cool, but let's maybe spruce it up a bit with the Pink Floyd Whoosh thing. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to add an audio effect to this track. Okay, so I've got Filter Freak in here, and we're going to automate a couple of parameters in Filter Freak over this fading time period. So what we're gonna do is we're going to automate the frequency, and we're going to automate possibly the mix as well. okay? Because I feel like if we automate the mix, see, notice how once you put this filter on, you're instantly getting some filtering happening up at those higher frequencies. You can see by the shape here. Well, I don't really want that. I don't want any filtering until the effect starts to kick in. If you don't know what this is a low pass filter. The idea of a low pass filter is it takes away higher frequencies and leaves the lower ones alone, hence low pass. The low ones get a pass. We're gonna sweep that filter from higher frequencies to lower ones and you get this kind of effect. So I'm gonna add an automation to the, let's say we're gonna do to the frequency. I'm also going to add an automation to the mix. Here we are on the Filter Freak mix. So I want it to be 0 and go up to 100 over that time. So let's get going on this. So where is my envelope? There it is. Okay. So we're going to do this. We want it to be at a 0 mix, and then we want it to go up to 100 at my end of the fade time. Okay. So now we're going to go to the Filter Freak frequency. Now the frequency, I want to go from all the way high to all the way low. We're going to keep it high. So let's go to the beginning where my fade would be, keeping it high. And then I think about here, we're going to bring it all the way down. Okay. Very simple. So now I'm going to bring up the plugin window as well, so you can see how it animates. Okay, and here we go. Click. Now, there's some other things to keep in mind when you do this. Obviously, when you play with the resonance, you can get it sounds a lot different. It sounds more like a phaser type thing. So yeah, how cool is that? I mean, honestly, every little parameter here you can kind of play around with and fine tune. Normally I would play around with like when these fades come in and out, when these automations start and stop. Once again, I just think adding that sound to the transition changes it up and makes the sound more rich and fuller and gives you kind of a different vibe or emotion at that moment in the song. Okay, so anyway, very straightforward. By the way, you probably don't need sound toys for this. You could probably just use, like, for Logic, the built-in channel EQ, which is an excellent plugin. You could just use that and, get an EQ shape like that and just animate it over, animate the frequency, fade in the mix. So you might not even need the sound toys thing. I just love sound toys, and they're my go-to, so I tend to pull them up first, okay? Anyway, okay, now I've showed you how to do it with the DAW. I'm gonna show you how to do it with a guitar pedal in case you wanna do it live. Now, obviously, you have to do a little bit of a setup to get that kind of thing pulled off, and depending on how complicated your rig is at your show, maybe it's a little too much to do that, I don't know. But I think you could do some really cool effects with this kind of thing mid-song live. Now, I would normally use something to do this, like one of these, like a, good old Moog expression pedal or Mission or Ernie Ball or whatever. Whoever makes expression pedals nowadays, or you can, like for this little way I'm going to show you, I have one of these delightful little Old Blood Noise Endeavors, little kind of expression slider guy. Very, very handy. Anyway, you need a pedal that's going to have either the ability to do an EQ or a filter or something like that. Well, I have set up the Chase Bliss Condor, which is an excellent, excellent pedal to do this kind of thing. Because not only does it allow you to play with the volume but the low pass filter. So you can mix and match how these things kind of fade in and fade out. You could do this with MIDI, you could do it with expression pedals. There's all kinds of solutions for this. But the idea, again, is that you get this cool effect that's not just a standard, you know, oh, I'm just turning down my guitar or whatever, right? So anyway, let me just let you quickly hear how I pulled it off. I do have some audio. So this is a loop. So it's just some guitar playing, not particularly amazing, but going through a delay. And then what I have set up here is I have the ramper that's going to kick in the low pass filter on the Condor and slowly bring it in. All the way to where the sound's gone. Now, the cool thing about the Condor too is it does allow you to play with the resonance on that filter. So you can have a very, like one with almost no resonance or no hump. So that one's more, you know, tame, and then you can obviously go more extreme. But really what I wanted to get across in this video was the idea of moving a little bit past the standard approach of just, you know, popping down and up your volume and maybe using some other little creative ways to, you know, get these, I guess, get more, you know, interest with your ears on some of your transitions. Now, I do want to mention, of course, when you're playing live, I think some of these nuances could very easily be lost depending on the room and how loud your band is and what kind of music you're playing and how your sound person is. Like, there's all these variables, right? So I'm not saying maybe it would even matter as much live. I think it matters more recorded, but maybe it does. Maybe there's certain quiet moments in a song where kind of changing how you fade in and out of a guitar or a keyboard or a bass or whatever, you know, maybe this different kind of way of fading in and out would sound cool. So the Pink Floyd whoosh, that's what I call it. Although it could be the Radiohead whoosh, the Led Zeppelin whoosh. There's probably 8,000 other bands that have used this technique to great effect. And I just think it's a cool little technique. It's very simple. I didn't know about it for a long time until one day I just tried to recreate the Pink Floyd thing, and I said, oh, they're just moving around an EQ, you know? I didn't go to mixing school, so it takes me 10 years to figure these things out. When other people learn it, probably a day too. But if you have any comments, please leave them below. I hope this kind of thing helps. I sometimes need a break from the guitar pedal shit, and even though a guitar pedal did appear. So guess I'll never get away from them, will I? Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.